Hello, I'm Diana Sky, and you're watching our midday report here on TVP World. And we'll begin in France, where French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has resigned from office just hours after naming his new cabinet. Now, the political divisions run deep in France as the country moves from one crisis to another.
He served just 26 days as French Prime Minister. Sébastien Lecornu resigned on Monday after, according to him, political divisions made it impossible to find compromise within the current coalition.
The composition of the government was not smooth and awakened some partisan appetites.
Lecornu named his new cabinet just 14 hours before announcing his resignation. His 26-day tenure as Prime Minister is the shortest one in the history of the French Fifth Republic. Many French people are becoming tired of the constant political impasse.
It's exhausting. We need stability, and we don't have it. I'm outraged by the situation. The government lasted 14 hours and 26 minutes.
The current parliament was elected in last year's snap election. The chamber is divided into three factions: the left, the far right, and the center, none of whom have a majority. The far right has called for new elections, saying that no coalition can be formed in the current arrangement. But the ball remains in the French president's court. It is Emmanuel Macron who has the final say whether another snap election will take place.
Now, Lecornu's unexpected resignation is reverberating throughout the markets, with the stock exchange in Paris falling by nearly 2%. At the same time, the spread between French and German government bonds has hit a 9-month high.
By now, the markets are used to political impasse in France, but still, the Prime Minister resigning less than a day after unveiling his cabinet caught markets by surprise on Monday morning. CAC 40, the main index of the French stock exchange, went down by almost 2%, one of the biggest falls this year, and solidifying its status as one of the worst performing indices this year. The difference between how much interest France has to pay when it borrows money versus what Germany, seen as the most stable economy in the Eurozone, pays has hit almost 90 basis points, the highest in 9 months. But experts caution that Lecornu's resignation is not the end of the world, as much of this risk has been already factored in by the market.
Ukraine has hit back at Russia by targeting its energy infrastructure in Belgorod and occupied Crimea. Tens of thousands of people were left without power as the battle for energy rages on. Now, for more on this, let's go now live to Kyiv and our correspondent Alex Cadier. Alex, hello. Now, we've seen several strikes on energy infrastructure on both sides now. What do you think? Could we be entering a new phase of this conflict?
Well, good afternoon, Diana. It is what we've seen in the last couple of years in the run-up to winter. Russian strikes on Ukrainian energy infrastructure. We saw that in the last 24 hours. 500 drones and 50 missiles. A crucial difference in this possible new phase of the war, as you quite rightly identified it, Diana, is the fact that now Ukraine appears to be hitting back much harder than ever before. We've seen reports from local officials in the Belgorod region around the city reporting 40,000 people without power. We've also seen from Ukrainian telegram channels, not confirmed yet, in the last few hours, a second strike on the Luk power station in the Belgorod region as well. Clearly, Ukraine wanting to hit back. That, of course, was the promise from President Zelensky in the last few days, who had said any strikes on Ukrainian energy infrastructure would invite a response from the Ukrainians hitting Russian energy infrastructure. We've also seen strikes in occupied Crimea. Now, this is according to the Crimean Wind pro-Ukrainian telegram channels, confirmed by the General Staff of Ukraine that the largest oil terminal in Crimea was also hit by Ukrainian drones overnight. No confirmation from the Russian side of that strikes, only that a certain number of Ukrainian drones were shot down. Nevertheless, still some frustration here in Ukraine, as expressed by President Zelensky in the fallout of that mass attack on western Ukraine, on energy infrastructure in Zaporizhia, in Chernihiv, and in the Lviv region close to the border with Poland. President Zelensky saying that the response from the West to these mass attacks remains too weak and not decisive enough. Nevertheless, those Ukrainian strikes targeting Russia, as we've seen in the last few hours, overnight, and more recently during the day, still pushing back, still hitting back on Russian energy infrastructure. The message from President Zelensky was very clear. A blackout in Kyiv would see a response, and a blackout in Moscow. So clearly fighting talk from the Ukrainians. As you quite rightly said, Diana, that battle for energy ahead of the winter rages on.
That's right, Alex. And actually, a Polish manufacturing clothing warehouse was reportedly also hit with big company names like Mojito and reserved Polish brands. However, to my understanding, there have been no casualties on their end. So thank you so much, Alex Kadia, coming to us live from Kyiv. Stay safe. ANO party leader and the winner of the Czech parliamentary election, Andrej Babiš, has already begun coalition talks with other party leaders in the hope of forming a new government. However, President Petr Pavel has not yet given Babiš a mandate to start those discussions, calling such a move premature until a viable coalition emerges. Pavel is also in the middle of a post-election consultation spree and has already met with Pirate Party leader Zdeněk Hřib, whose party is heading into opposition. The president has also seen Tomio Okamura, leader of the Freedom and Direct Democracy Movement, or SPD, who has confirmed that he is already in coalition talks with Babiš. Okamura revealed that he expects the SPD to have control of between 1 to 3 ministries, the choice of which will be decided by the winning party. Babiš is also negotiating the formation of a coalition, including the Motorists' Party, whose leader, Petr Mačinka's political agenda differs significantly from Okamura's, spelling potential trouble for coalition talks. Brussels has responded to divisive weekend elections in the Czech Republic and Georgia. The EU executive says it expects Prague to maintain support for a Commission-led ammo drive for Ukraine and that political contact has been reduced to a minimum with officials in Tbilisi over democratic backsliding. Our EU correspondent Angela Skujins has more from Brussels.
The European Commission says it is not worried about Andrej Babiš's ANO party crushing the polls in that Czech election taking place on Saturday. Now, Babiš has previously stated that he is critical of EU support for Ukraine as well as NATO military alliance members meeting that revised 5% funding benchmark. TVP World asked the European Commission spokesperson for Foreign Affairs, Anita Hipper, whether Brussels was concerned about Babiš taking up this new top job and what it could mean for a project spearheaded by the High Representative Kaja Kallas, that's the EU's top diplomat. She wants to gather at least 1.5 million rounds of ammunition, giving that to the war-torn country to repel Russian soldiers. We asked for an update on this 1.5 million rounds. She stated that 80% has been acquired so far, but could not clarify to TVP World at a press conference how much of this has been supplied from Prague and whether those bullets were with Brussels as we speak.
On this, I'll invite you also to get in touch with our Czech counterparts. As I said, on the details, on the numbers, discussions are still ongoing. A meeting will take place next week.
European Commission spokesperson for Foreign Affairs, Anita Hipper, speaking there about an important Foreign Affairs Council meeting taking place in the Belgian capital on Wednesday next week, where the matter of ammunition for Ukraine will be discussed, as well as divisive elections occurring in Georgia, marred by low voter turnout as well as violent protests. The ruling Georgian Dream Party did successfully quite well at this local election. However, the European Union, the EEAS, released a statement on Sunday condemning this election, stating that many people had been arrested, as well as there was a spread of anti-EU propaganda taking there. So it appears a lot of condemnation and a lot of words so far. We have to wait and see how this will take shape into action, support for Ukraine as well as further criticism of Georgia. Angela Skujins from Brussels for TVP World.
Hungary has been rocked by a child sex abuse scandal which opposition parties allege Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government has covered up for years. Thousands have taken to the streets of the Hungarian capital in support of child protection and against abuse in state-run facilities.
For years, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has claimed Hungarian children are under attack from sexual deviants and pedophiles. But now, it's his own government that has come under fire over a case of child abuse at a juvenile detention center in Budapest. Two government officials are accused of either involvement in or covering up criminal offenses related to the incident. Protests once again erupted in Budapest on Sunday over the scandal, with thousands in attendance.
They don't care about what they should care about. They don't protect the children, but attack those who oppose them.
Prime Minister Orban has denied all allegations against government members, including Deputy Prime Minister Zsolt Semjén.
Every member of the government is innocent. There is no doubt about the honor of any minister. They cannot be associated with such crimes.
Orban said that while the former director of the juvenile detention center ran women as prostitutes, those acts had no link to the state institution. He also threatened legal action against the media and the opposition, which has called for Semjén's suspension until a comprehensive probe is conducted. But even if the investigation is still ongoing and no convictions have been made, experts point out that the scandal is likely to loosen Orban's grip on power.
We can see a sort of panic in the reaction of the government. Some business people withdraw their money, they change their accounts and invest in foreign countries, or just rescue their money somewhere else abroad in other banks.
Prime Minister Orban is doing everything he can to deflect the scandal that may risk hurting his campaign for re-election next year. The stakes are high as the opposition TISA party, led by Péter Magyar, is leading in the polls.
This year's Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine has been won by a trio of researchers whose work explores the human immune system. The announcement was made at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden.
It's one of the most prestigious awards on the planet. This year's Physiology or Medicine Nobel Prize recognizes outstanding achievements in the field of immune systems.
The 2025 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine jointly to Mary Branco, Fred Ramsdell and Shimon Sakaguchi for their discoveries concerning peripheral immune tolerance.
The Nobel Prize was created by wealthy Swedish chemist and entrepreneur Alfred Nobel, with the first awards presented in 1901. The winners for medicine are selected by the Nobel Assembly of Sweden's Karolinska Institute Medical University and receive a prize of $1.2 million, as well as a gold medal presented by Sweden's king. Branco and Ramsdale are based in the United States and Sakaguchi in Japan. The Nobel Awards also recognize achievements in physics, chemistry, literature, peace and economic sciences. The names of other Nobel Prize winners will be announced in the coming days.
And that's all now here for our midday report on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya, but don't go away. Do stay with us for more news, features and exclusive interviews.